Hello, and welcome to Book Circle. I'm Earl Weinberg. This time we will continue with Aunt Jenny and the Delayed Quest by Jim Burrows. Aunt Jenny and her companions have scored a decisive victory against Lilith, Aunt Jenny personally, and they have withdrawn now to a community of marginalia to recover themselves. After a minute or two, she opened her eyes and declared, "That's enough of this." With that, she wiped away her tears. "Does anyone know how Philum, Helgrim, and Finna are doing? Where are they?" Mother answered, "Trees say very big fight. Hurt. Need help. Dwarves, Neffel, go help. Bring back. Catboat, bring back." "Where?" asked Aunt Jenny. "Where are they? Where are we, for that matter?" "This people home. Friends on river. Go Neffel home soon." "Can we get there? Where are they? Where they are or where they're going? The Fisherman's Rest, if that's what you mean by Neffel home?" "Scout 3 take ladies." "That would be wonderful. Thank you, Mother." "Mother, thank Queen Lady. Lady save people." "I was glad to help, and your seeds were as important as I was." Mother laughed. 3 ran to Aunt Jenny excitedly. "3 take, 3 take. Come, ladies, come, Tom." Once again, Aunt Jenny picked up Big Tom and joined hands with 3, Sasha, and Morwenna. The scout led the way, and soon the clearing faded away to be replaced by a stony trail through the mists of the witch paths. After a few twists and turns, a forest began to emerge from the mists, and they found themselves on the trail leading down to where Cat, the fairy, and 2 other boats were anchored on the river. The shore was a bustle of activity as a couple dozen dwarves and Neffels were setting their fallen and injured comrades onto the boats. Aunt Jenny set down Tom and hurried to the shore. "Aunt Jenny," called Cat, "you're safe." "Good to see you too, Cat," Aunt Jenny replied, looking about for her friends. There was Drumthortle on the ferry, helping to lift an injured Neffel on board. As the Nephilim in the water shifted around, she could see that the injured one was Helgrim. And there, on Cat, Finna was tending to someone, Philum. The dryad spotted Jenny and waved, smiling a little weakly. "Come," said 3, taking out Jenny's hand and running in the direction of the ferry. In several steps, some of them through the air, they arrived on board the ferry near the stern where it was less crowded. The Rumblers, Dwarves, and Neffels had Helgrim on the ferry and were aiding a second, less badly injured Neffel to board. Jenny stepped to where Helgrim was lying. "Your Majesty," he croaked, "'tis good to see you uninjured. The others?" "They're fine, my friend. How are you?" "Lady Finna has tended to me, saved my life, no doubt. I will be some time healing, I fear, and getting used to hobbling." He gestured, and for the first time Aunt Jenny realized that his left leg from the knee down was missing. Let a trollish brute with an axe get too close. He didn't get to savor his victory, though. "Oh, my dear, I'm so sorry." She shut her eyes for a moment. "No, that's not what I meant. That sounded so inadequate. I am sorry, and so much more." "No, ma'am, not at all. Word is," he turned around to be certain of who was listening, "word is you turned the tables on the witch, sent her on her way, freed the little folk, destroyed the city. If us defending your back allowed that, well, we did the job. I ain't sorry, nor should you be." Aunt Jenny could think of no reply. "Lady Finna's bandaged me, ma'am. She says I'll survive. No heavy labor for a score of days or more, then working on getting on my foot. Lady Finna says she'll help me with a replacement. Don't you worry, ma'am. A victory is what it was, and I survived." "More than survived, by the sound of it," she said. "Is there anything I can do for you?" He smiled. "No, you might see to Hrothar, though. He was sore hurt indeed, the dryad too. I'll do that. You rest now. I will, ma'am, he replied, and when she gave him a reproving look, he corrected himself. I will, Aunt Jenny. But as she turned away, he murmured, Majesty. Aunt Jenny, not sure that she wanted to try the walking on air trick alone this far from Chaos Rim, took Three's hand, and they walked together from ship to ship as if on invisible planks. There she found Finna still tending Philum, and not far away a badly injured Nephil. Are you Hrothar? She asked him. I am, Majesty. Please, Aunt Jenny. Yes, ma'am, Aunt Jenny. May I look at your wounds? I'm a nurse and a healer. He chuckled. Been a long time since I needed me a nurse, ma'am. She closed her eyes briefly while she shook her head. I was afraid someone here would take it that way. Back home, we call those who tend the sick and injured nurses, not just, he grinned and interrupted. I know. I couldn't help myself. Good. A sense of humor can help with healing. As can, he started with a devilish twinkle in his eye, but thought better of it. So may I look at your wounds? Great lady healer, interrupted Three, assuring the Nephil. Please, Aunt Jenny. Finna looked over her shoulder. He could use some of your sewing skills. I'll replace the hydro bandage when you're done. Thank you, my dear. She rummaged through her bag for her medical kit. As she did, Morwenna appeared at her side, conjured a fireball, and set it in the air within easy reach. Thank you, my dear, Aunt Jenny said, cleaning her suturing needle in the flame. You looked as though you might prefer it rather than cast your own in an unfamiliar place. Exactly. I suspect I can pull off a number of tricks away from the rim, thanks to this, she gestured at her crown, but I'd rather not experiment during surgery. She did, however, try one experiment once she'd finished sewing up Hrothar's wound. She laid her hand gently on the wound and willed it to heal quickly. As she did so, her hand glowed faintly blue, and the Nephil smiled and sighed. Her crown grew cool. Once everyone was accounted for and on board, the convoy started downstream. With help from Three and Finna, Aunt Jenny moved from boat to boat, tending injuries and meeting all the folk who had come to the aid of her people. There were 2 deaths, several injuries, but only 2 or 3 really serious cases. Aisha had sent word of the casualties back over the root meat, and so the boats were met at the Ferryman's Rest by the families of the dead and injured. Aunt Jenny introduced herself to each of the families and expressed her gratitude and sadness at the losses. Inside, Flora had set out a feast, and the inn's common room was filled to capacity and then some. All the chairs had been brought from the sleeping rooms, and crates and upturned casks were serving as makeshift tables and chairs. And still, here and there were folks sitting in laps or standing about. Word of the various fights and rescues was in high demand, and soon Aunt Jenny found herself standing on a crate and telling the tale of her adventures in the Rim. When she finished, she had Philum tell his group's tale, with assistance from Finna and Aisha's mother, the dryad Ella, who had monitored and coordinated root meat communications from the rest, filling in the details. When they had finished, Drumthordle called out that Sasha should tell her version of the rescue of the marginalia, as he suspected Aunt Jenny was being over-modest. Sasha's experience paying for her shopping sprees had taught her a thing or two about telling a valuable story, and so, much to everyone's delight, she told a much more rousing version of the Queen's adventure. Three injected enthusiastic comments and acted out some of the dramatic encounters he had seen. Aunt Jenny knew better than to try to rein in the 2 storytellers. Once her own storytelling ended, Helgrim had called for Aunt Jenny to join him on a well-situated couch. No sooner had she done so than she was covered in a pile of dogs and cats. Having settled in, Aunt Jenny asked everyone how the conflict had gone elsewhere. Aisha answered first. When word came from Philum that they were being attacked, I repeated it on the root meat, adding my voice so it would carry further. Shortly, one of his peacats arrived with more details. I sent that out over the root meat as well. Soon I heard back from Iram and Illimcrown. They'd known that the plan was for you to merely scout, and were fully ready to repulse her forces, but they decided to strike as hard a blow as they might, in hopes that they could at least distract and prevent her from concentrating only on you. Ella. I had been adding my voice to my daughter's and relaying what other folks said back to her. I was surprised, though, to hear that serpent folk from Patala had also moved to repulse forces harrying their borders. Then came word that a patrol of Jinn had found her agents on the outskirts of Jinnistan and forced them out. I had not heard that either group was to be involved. I hadn't yet asked for military aid from either of them, said Aunt Jenny, though I did complain to the king of Jinnabad about being attacked by her minions in his land. None of these attacks were reported as at all decisive, continued Ella, but not long after they started, I began to hear that her forces were suddenly weakened. The Khatan sent word that her mages had detected some great disturbance off in Chaos. Perhaps, suggested Jenny, it was the fall of the city in Chaos? That is what the chatter on the root meat is suggestive. Two main possible effects have been offered. First, that the city was empowering a great deal of the magic used by her forces. Second, that many of her forces are connected in mind or spirit, and that they felt the loss of their allies in the city. Yes, I can see how the power of chaos might be relayed to others in and near the marches, and how morale could be even more potent a force in these magical realms than it is back in mortal lands. Just so, Your Majesty. The Dryad almost immediately corrected herself. Jenny. That is what the root meat was suggesting. Flora and her kitchen crew had performed heroically, and for many hours endless streams of food and drink filled and replenished the tables, platters, and flagons throughout the common room. At one point, Sasha found herself nearly alone with Aunt Jenny, sharing a bench in a booth-like nook. You've asked several times what just one teacher or coach could do to make a difference with all these fairy queens, goddesses, genies, demigods, and the like about. Aunt Jenny nodded. I think we heard some of it tonight. You can disrupt the morale, the magical power flow, and the status quo. You can inspire the net and get them chattering. You can think of things they have not and dare things they would not. Because only someone who didn't understand the forces at work would mess with them? You gotta teach. Aunt Jenny chuckled and stroked Big Tom's long fur. You make an excellent point. Thank you. Glad you didn't try to send me back to school? Yes and no. I don't know how I could have done this without you, so yes, but I still can't shake my fear of you, one of my girls, coming to harm. I'm resigned to that risk, but I'm not comfortable with it. I never will be. I love you too, Aunt Jenny. That's why, or part of why, I'm here. Your family. Family of choice, but family. It's why the kids all call you Aunt Jenny. But I'm here, too, for one of the reasons you are. These folk need us. It's what we're meant to do, if anyone is meant to do anything. Okay, just remember to tell that to your father when we get back, and to the police and everyone else who will blame me for your disappearance. Sasha nodded thoughtfully. Well, you know I may be here because you're Aunt Jenny to me, but in a way I'm here because I'm the Major's daughter. If I was meant to do this, then another way of saying that is it was my duty to do it. And he would understand my doing a duty a whole lot more than he would understand my shirking one. So, not only transformed into the Queen's champion, but born and bred to it? Might be, she shrugged. I understand. Aunt Jenny's eyes sparkled when she smiled. And it doesn't help one iota. The Major would tell us that's you recognizing your duty to me. Aunt Jenny looked Sasha up and down. So, what's he going to say when you come back more than 6 feet tall and muscled like someone who can fight in armor? Damned if I know. Yeah, language, young lady. Well, words do have power, especially here. Ruff, interjected Rudy. As do barks. I think I have to walk the dog. May I escort you, milady? Helgrim leaned over from behind her and asked. Whoa, I didn't see you there. Mayhap I'm better at stealth than you credit. He grinned, limped around from behind her, leaning on a cane. How are you walking? Your leg, Jenny stammered. The work of Lady Finna. 'Tis made of wood. And you are ready to be on it already? No, answered Finna herself, having shown up right behind him. Never try to talk sense to a Neffel. Sit down, Aunt Jenny said firmly. It cannot be good to put pressure on the wound. I don't even understand how it is possible, let alone advisable. She moved aside to make room for him on the high-backed bench where she and Sasha were sitting. Do as she says, Oaf, or I shall fetch Flora to make you, ordered Finna firmly. I said you could try a few steps. I've long legs. It wasn't many steps. You've one long leg and a short one with some wood to make up the difference, and perhaps another block of wood keeping your ears apart. Aunt Jenny took his hand and pulled him down onto the bench. But what of the poor dog? He asked. We'll walk the dog, answered Sasha. Come on, Finna. They walked off, leaving Aunt Jenny and Helgrim alone. Really, Helgrim, you must take your time. Even with Finna's magic and mine speeding things up, you've had a grave injury and must allow yourself time to heal. He sighed hugely. Aye, Finna did say the same. I cannot be just part of me. I must be all of me, whole. Leg or no leg, wood or flesh, you are you, my dear. You're the courageous man who had my back. You and the others likely kept us alive, so that we could do what we did. We owe you our thanks. And that means that we still need you, as you are, alive to thank. Flora and Garn need you, and that means you must take the time to heal. Even here, where time plays silly games, even with magic to aid in healing, you need to heal. Actually take the time to be the whole you, wooden leg and all. Very well. Thank you. Thank you, Helgrim, for everything. You've been a good host and an excellent ally. Thank you for watching my back. You're welcome, Aunt Jenny, but 'tis I who should thank you. You helped us all. Saved us like as not. 'Twas only a start, true enough. There'll be many more battles to come, but these last few days we've begun something. You've started something or inspired us to something we all must see forward. You're right, this is only a small beginning. It's good that everyone can celebrate a victory and move forward to more, but we mustn't lose track of how much more lies before us, nor deny that it will take a lot of time to finish. No, ma'am. But, Aunt Jenny? Yes? You'll be leaving us soon, will you not? Yes, I think I must. There are friends and allies who need our help, and debts to be paid. If I may, ma'am? Yes? You shouldn't go with few. 'Tis not safe for you to go alone or with just one or two. Take a larger company with you. Aunt Jenny frowned. You're probably right, but I have no company. I'm wearing a crown, but I'm not a queen. I have no subjects. Have you asked them, Aunt Jenny? She stopped and looked at all the folk gathered around them. You have but to call, and there's many who'll follow, he continued. I know. I worry about that. You worry about risking the lives of others, about asking it of them. I do, she said. Then let me be the first. May I serve with you, join your company? My company? Aye, those who've traveled with you to Jinnabad and Chaos Rim, who will travel onward from here. There should be a Neffel, as well as the Dryad, Dwarf, Fae, Peri, Marginalis, and all the animal folk, and more than just one of each blood. You must have a whole company going forward. She stopped and paused. I don't like to ask others to take such great risks. Losing you, that's a risk many of us are concerned with. We'd come to make that risk smaller. More, 'tis we who are asking you. Yes, you're right. This cannot be my quest. It must be ours together. But Helgrim, you can only be a part of that company if you will look out for everyone in it, and that above all means that you must look out for my brave Helgrim. Listen to Finna and to me. Do not rush and in your haste cost the company one of our most valued members. I've no need of a dead or crippled fool. I need you to heal and take the time. Can you agree to that? I can. Then yes, you can help me build the company. And so it proved to be. We'll continue to watch Aunt Jenny consolidate her victory next time.